Well, hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of today's Conversations on Leadership, powered by Life University. I'm Dr. Gilles LaMarche, your host. And as I do before most introductions of a guest, I like to read a short quote that I believe exemplifies the guest that I have on. And I really like this quote from Ralph Waldo Emerson. I do think it exemplifies our leader that we're interviewing today. Do not go where the path may lead. Go instead where there is no path and lead the way. And this is what I believe this gentleman has been doing now for a long time. He's become a dear friend. He is a Life alumni who, if you did a Google search on Life University, shows up as the most famous Life alumnus, I would say. But to me, he's so much more than that. He is an exceptional human being that I often would describe as a brother from a different mother, a lovely, lovely friend, a man who is impacting millions of people around the globe. So it's my deep honor to have as my guest today, my friend, Dr. Joe Dispenza. Joe, thanks so much. I know how busy you are, and the fact that you accepted the invitation makes me really, really happy. So thanks for joining.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Joe. Happy to be with you as always.
Thank you. So a few questions, because, the whole goal of this podcast is to inspire people to step in to their leadership capabilities. So many people are on the edge of leadership, or they may have a leadership role, but don't really understand how to lead. So I'll just ask you a few questions and just allow you to share with the audience maybe parts of your path that really have positioned you as a global leader. There's no doubt that you're impacting millions of people every single day around the globe. That makes you a leader. So what, in your opinion, is one of the characteristics that you believe is essential for a leader to possess?
Well, for me, I think there is a neuroscience to leadership. That's really where my interest lies. And great leaders take sound information. They're willing to learn philosophical, theoretical, intellectual information. And every time we learn something new, of course, we make new synaptic connections in the brain. That's what learning is. Learning is forging new synaptic connections. And the Nobel Prize laureate Kandel said in the year 2000, you can learn a little bit of information, and with some focus and some concentration in 1 hour, you can double the number of connections in your brain. But if you don't review that information, if you don't repeat it, if you don't keep thinking about it, those circuits prune apart within hours or days. So if learning is making new synaptic connections, then remembering is maintaining and sustaining those connections. So I think that great leaders assimilate information from a theoretical standpoint, but then they do something really powerful. They apply it, and they personalize it, they initiate it, they demonstrate, they practice demonstrating it in some way. And if they can get their behaviors to match their intentions and their actions equal to their thoughts, if they get their mind and body working together, they walk into a new experience. Now, experience then, when we're in the midst of a new experience, all of our five senses are plugging us into reality. And when we're in that experience, all that information, that sensory information, is rushing back to our brain, and jungles of neurons begin to organize further into connections. And when they assemble into place, the brain makes a chemical, and that chemical is called a feeling or an emotion. So when you feel empowered, when you feel unlimited, when you feel grateful from some experience, the chemical feedback that you're getting from your environment is teaching your body chemically to understand what your mind has intellectually understood. So knowledge is for the mind and experiences for the body, and we begin to embody the truth of that philosophy. And that's what begins to change our genetic destiny. So then if you've done it once, great leaders will master the craft, and they will repeat the experience over and over again. And I think that when you repeat an experience over and over again, you begin to neurochemically condition the mind and body to begin to work as one. And when you've done something so many times where you no longer have to consciously think about it, now it's innate in you. It's second nature, it's automatic, it's familiar. Now you're beginning to master that knowledge, or better yet, you're moving into a new state of being. So I think that great leaders go from thinking to doing to being, from knowledge to experience to wisdom, from mind to body to soul, from philosopher to initiate to master, from learning it with your head, applying it with your hands, and knowing it by heart. And we have all the biological and neurological machinery to do this. And I think great leaders just have the ability to embody knowledge until it becomes innate in them. And then they lead really by example. And if you ask a leader, how do you do that? They'll tell you, I've just done it so many times, I no longer have to consciously think about it. There's an alignment. There's a state of being that takes place. And great leaders have done that, and it applies to every single area of our lives.
There's one thing, and I thank you for that answer. That's a great answer. There's one thing that you've taught me a lot over the years, not just by me attending some of your workshops or reading some of your books, but face to face and breaking bread together in different parts of the world, in Italy, for example. And one of the things you taught me about was the power of gratitude. And I remember, it's a number of years ago now, you may not remember this, but you gave me a beautiful aqua-colored heart-shaped gratitude stone. And I carried it with me for a long, long time. And one day, as I was putting it in my pocket in my bathroom, I dropped it and it landed on the ceramic tiles and it actually shattered. And it hurt that it shattered, because now it no longer carried the energy that it was carrying for me. So I, got the dustpan, picked it up, threw it in the garbage can. And a couple months later, I realized how I missed that, because, as you had said a while ago so eloquently, I had built these new synaptic connections around allowing me to always be tapped into my heart. And so I got online and I searched for heart-shaped gratitude stones, and I found that I could buy a little box, and then I bought a box, and then I bought two, and I started handing them out to people. And now I buy them 1,000 at a time. And I always have one in my pocket. Always have one in my pocket. And what it taught me was how to be grateful, but also how to be present. And presence is part of being a great leader. So can you talk about that a little bit?
Sure.
As it relates to leadership?
So I'll talk about both of those elements. I mean, if you think about gratitude, when you receive something favorable, or you just receive something favorable, if something's happening to you or something just happened to you that you are excited about, you feel grateful. So the emotional signature of gratitude means that it's already happened, or something wonderful is happening to you. Now, the body is so objective that it does not know the difference between a real life experience that's creating that emotion and that emotion that you're fabricating by thought alone. So the body's believing it's living in an environmental condition that's favorable to you. And we only accept, believe, and surrender to thoughts that are equal to our emotional state. So in the state of gratitude, your body is more prone to be programmed through its autonomic nervous system into a different destiny. And the research that we've done on our research team shows that just 4 days of feeling gratitude can strengthen your immune system by 50% by releasing an immunoglobulin called immunoglobulin A, which is the body's primary defense against bacteria and viruses. It's better than any flu shot, and it's the body's natural capacity. So when we trade anger and frustration and fear and anxiety and pain and suffering and guilt for an elevated emotion, the autonomic nervous system starts to regulate back into homeostasis and balance. And of course, stress is when the autonomic nervous system is knocked out of homeostasis and balance. It's dysregulation. So we teach people how to give thanks for the things that they create in their life actually before it happens. And when we do that properly, we start to see measurable changes in the person's body and measurable changes in their energy and ultimately measurable changes in their life. So the concept of presence is such an important concept, because I think that paying attention is being present, and it's a skill just like anything else. The more you practice it, the better you get at it. And I think we know when people are present with us in our lives is because they're paying attention to us. And we know when they're not present with us because they're not paying attention. Well, where you place your attention is where you place your energy, bottom line. So if you're thinking about what's going to happen in the next moment, or what's going to happen in a day, or you're reviewing something that happened 3 days ago, you're placing your attention in some future scenario or some past memory. And we siphon energy out of the present moment, and we don't have available energy then to really begin to create an outcome in our lives. But if we're truly present and we're relaxed and poised in the present moment, if where you place your attention is where you place your energy, then you have a lot of energy in the present moment to execute, a lot of energy in the present moment to make decisions. The more you do this, the more you experience those moments of flow, the synchronicities, the serendipities, the opportunities, the coincidences, because there's a lot of power in the present moment. So one of the key elements in the creative process is teaching people how to relax into the present moment. So if a person is thinking about their problems, and those problems are memories that are etched in their brain that are connected to certain people and objects and things at certain times and places, the moment they think about their problems, say first thing in the morning when they wake up, if you believe your thoughts have something to do with your destiny and your brain is a record of the past, the moment you remember your problems, you're thinking in the past. And because every problem has an emotion associated because you experience it, the moment you feel unhappy, now your body's in the past. So thoughts are the language of the brain and feelings are the language of the body. And how we think and how we feel creates our state of being. So most people unconsciously start their day with their entire state of being biologically in the past. And again, the body's so objective, it doesn't know the difference between the real life experience and the emotion that you're creating by thought alone. So that past, that familiar past, is called the known. And if you wake up in the morning and you start thinking about the predictable future and the people you have to see and the places you have to go and the things you have to do in your routine, predictable life, the same exact thing happens. You're imagining that future scenario that's already known to you, and you're anticipating the feeling of that outcome. So that becomes, the predictable future becomes the known as well. So if the familiar past is the known and the predictable future is the known, there's only one place where the unknown exists, and that's the sweet spot of the generous present moment. And teaching people how to create from the present moment is what begins to produce the magic and the changes that take place in their lives.
Wow, that was a great answer, because obviously, learning to be present, learning to be grateful would be two great attributes to leadership, to any leader, whether it's someone leading a family or leading their friends or leading an organization, small or large. One of the statements...
If you think about great leaders in history that changed the course of many different cultures, what they did that was so important is they had a vision of that future. And they were able to have other people come out of their resting emotional state and begin to see that vision that they were seeing and move them into an elevated emotional state. And when they changed their energy, those people could share that same vision. Well, if you combine a clear intention and an elevated emotion, those two ingredients change people's state of being. Now the person has just moved biologically from living in the past to living in a new future in the present moment. And that's what caused millions of people to begin to make different choices, to behave differently, to do different things. And if you get enough people doing that because of mirror neurons, everybody's observing everybody do it, and you create a collective consciousness. And great leaders have the ability to, based on core principles, whether it's justice or freedom or equality, to have people see that same vision and then move them out of their resting state into an elevated emotion. And then when they do that properly, those people can see that vision. If you can't change a person's energy, they'll never see that vision, because they'll be viewing the future through the lens of the past, the emotions of the past. And so great leaders have the ability to have people begin to see the same vision.
And so what's that quality? What would be, from our listeners' perspective, what would be a step that a leader or an emerging leader or a current leader could actually take to be able to share that level of vision and get people to understand what they're sharing?
Well, I think there's different types of motivation, at least, what I've learned over the years. I think the highest form of motivation, the highest form of inspiration is called mission motivation, duty motivation, purpose motivation. When you have a vision that's inclusive, that is to change a culture or for the greater good of humanity, the greater good of a collective, it's a good reason to get out of bed in the morning. So I think the highest form of motivation is that kind of mission-driven motivation. The next form of motivation I've learned is called personal conviction motivation. Still a high form of motivation, but that's when you say, I'm going to do this because I said I'm going to do it. Well, that's a high form, but it's not the highest form. But people, leaders who have a mission, naturally have, personal conviction. The next form of motivation I've learned is called ethics or morality motivation, and that is based on right and wrong, good and bad. Not the highest form of motivation. It's polarized at times. When you're good, you want to be bad. When you're bad, you want to be good. And so it divides cultures a lot of times. But people who have a mission, naturally have personal conviction, have a strong sense of ethics and morality. And then there's, personal aggrandizement, recognition, not a very high form of motivation, the need to be recognized, the need to be popular, the need to be outstanding. Not a high form of motivation, but of course, people who have a mission, who have personal conviction, have a sense of ethics, naturally then, of course, have recognition. And the lowest form is called money motivation, which is the most selfish form of motivation. And I think at this point in our lives, I think most people can recognize that. So leaders, if they could embody their mission and think about it and think about ways, how can I serve? How can I serve more? How can I serve better? And have a team of people that can lead along with them. I mean, the companies that I run, I'm not the only leader. I think that we should all lead. There's a principle in biology called emergence, where you see a flock of birds all moving in the same direction, or a school of fish. When you see that, it gives the appearance of a larger organism. And when you get a collective group of people that share the same vision, and they're competent, which means they're really good at what they do, skilled, they're accountable, which means if they say they're going to do something or they're asked to do something, they're going to do it. If you combine that kind of mission or that vision with competence and accountability, I think you have excellence in an individual. But what you have is you have trust amongst the community, and everybody's leading. And I think that is the new model of leadership that I find so empowering, because I want to learn from the people that work with me, because they're experts as well. So leadership then becomes an act of learning knowledge and information, applying it, and ultimately becoming it. I think that's the best way to describe it.
Thank you so much. You've shared some amazing insights in this very short time together. But in closing, you are an exceptional leader already. So what does Dr. Joe do to actually maintain his level of leadership and grow his level of leadership? As your organization grows, as you know, you're impacting more and more millions of people around the globe. What do you do for Joe?
Well, I think one of the most important things is to never stop learning. I always want to learn where I am and what I need to improve on. I think that taking time for yourself, and I ask myself this weekend the question, what do I know? What do I know? And instead of getting up and turning the TV on or getting on your cell phone and texting, you wait for the answer. And I think you find when you do that areas that you know and areas that you don't know. And I think everybody's a work in progress. So if in the chiropractic profession, you want to be a leader in the chiropractic profession, then it makes sense then that you have to embody the message completely. For me, I work on being physically, chemically, and emotionally balanced. That's it. And if I can stay in balance and homeostasis, not only is my inner world healthy, but the way I perceive my outer world is also very healthy. So I strive every day to be the living example for the most part of everything that I teach. And of course, we're all faced with great opportunities, brilliantly disguised as impossible situations. So we're always being initiated into truth.
Well, I know that what you share is the truth, because having had the opportunity to hang out with you a number of times, Joe Dispenza lives what Joe says he lives. And any closing comments for our guest today, Dr. Joe?
No, try it out. This is the experiment in three-dimensional reality. We all have the opportunity to create our lives exactly the way we want. And it takes practice and repetition and mistakes and learning from your mistakes and modifying your behaviors to do a better job in life. And the new science tells us that we're not doomed by our genes or hardwired to be a certain way for the rest of our lives, that in fact, we're marvels of adaptability and change. And making time for yourself to be a work in progress, investing in yourself is investing in the future. And believing in yourself is really believing in possibilities. And when you believe in possibilities, you got to believe in yourself. And it takes time to disconnect from the people in your life and the appointments and time and the needs and drives of your body to really take time and go inward and connect to innate. and find the time to connect with it and have it move in you, to move through you, and ultimately move all around you. And that's the fun part. When you start seeing evidence in your life, I think we believe more that we are the creators of our lives and less of the victims of our lives.
Well, thank you very much once again for taking time out of your super busy schedule to share your insights. And I know our listeners will greatly benefit, of course, provided they put your recommendations into action. Thank you, Joe. Pleasure to see your beautiful smiling face, and look forward to next time we get an opportunity to break bread together somewhere around this gorgeous planet of ours.
Excellent.
Thank you.